Emeka and his wife Ada, along with their 8-year-old daughter Amara, was in a very bad car accident while traveling home from visiting family. Emeka and his wife Ada came out with scratches, but their 8-year-old daughter, Amara, was crippled. As Amara grew up, she became bored and saddened, not being able to go to birthday parties and play with her friends. Emeka did his best to cheer up Amara, and by showing her a lot of love and attention. Amara began to smile. She felt the overwhelming love from her father. There were many days. Amara's father would spend quality time with her laughing and talking, and it made Amara happy. Amara's mother, Ada, was getting annoyed and weary of her husband's undivided attention towards their daughter, Amara. Emeka told his daughter he would be leaving for 2 weeks on a very important business trip. He assured her he would call her every day and bring back many gifts for her. Amara knew she would miss her father, but getting many gifts made her smile. Amara's mother became jealous of her daughter, getting all the attention from her husband, and she began to despise Amara. Emeka told his wife Ada about his important business trip. He also assured her that he loved her and thanked her for allowing him to give Amara more attention just to help her to be happy. Emeka said to his wife, "My darling, when I come back, we will spend more time together. You are beautiful and precious to me." Ada smiled with her husband because she knew when as soon as he left the business trip, she was going to deal with her daughter Amara. As Emeka was leaving for his business trip, Ada hugged her husband and said, "Don't worry about Amara. I will take good care of our daughter." Amara waved bye to her father. She was already missing him. The family had a maid by the name of Zainab. She noticed changes in the wife toward Amara, but never said anything about it because she didn't want to lose her job. "Do not prepare any food," said Ada to the maid. "I will serve my daughter her dinner." Ada put bread and water only on the tray and headed to give it to Amara. She thought to herself, "My husband fed you good, but I will only feed you bread and water." Zainab the maid did not feel good about this because she knew how well Emeka treated his daughter, so she began to secretly record what Amara's mother was doing. Ada gave her daughter the bread and water and locked her in the room to punish her. She had no idea the maid Zainab had followed and recorded her. Zainab the maid did not want to be held responsible for anything bad happening to Amara, and she didn't say anything, so she decided to be brave and send the pictures to Amara's father Emeka. "What is this? What's going on? What is my wife doing? Oh my lord, what is happening here?" Amara began to cry. She held her head down in sadness, knowing that she had been treated badly by her own mother, who she loved. Every day all Amara had to eat was bread and water. She was hungry, so she ate the bread. Amara cried. She had not heard from her father, and he promised he would call her daily. Little did Amara know her father had kept his promise. He was calling daily, but his wife would not pick up the phone. Emeka kept calling and texting, but his wife ignored the calls and all his texts. She had planned to tell him there must be a problem with the phone. Emeka desperately wanted to leave this important meeting because he could not focus. His mind was home wondering what was going on. In the morning, Ada went to wake up Amara and poured a glass of water on her. She was trying to find ways to punish her without killing her. This was her way of teaching her daughter a lesson. But she was very wrong. Zainab the maid decided to call Amara's father and tell him what she was seeing with her own eyes. She was afraid of something worse happening to Amara. Amara continued to eat the bread daily, as she was hungry even though she was still sad not knowing why she didn't hear from her father and why her mother was treating her badly. After Ada gave her daughter the bread, she held her nose and said, "My daughter stinks. She's been in that room for days. Let me bathe her." Ada refused to help her daughter to take a shower. Instead, she pushed the wheelchair outside and threw a bucket of water on her. Amara screamed and cried. Not only did she throw water on her, but it was cold water. Zainab took a video of Ada pushing Amara outside and sent it to Amara's father. Emeka received the video, and he was furious with his wife Ada. He couldn't wait for the last 2 days of meetings to be over. Then he would be able to fly back home. After Ada threw the cold water on her daughter Amara, She took her back in the house and changed her clothes. Amara thought her mother was not going to treat her badly anymore, but she was wrong. Ada grabbed Amara's hair and said, "You foolish, spoiled girl. You think because you're in a wheelchair you have the right to keep your father away from me?" Amara was confused because she loved both her parents. Later that evening, Amara wheeled herself in front of the window, hoping to see her pulling up in the car. Why hasn't my father called me? Amara began to feel like her father abandoned her. Ada had friends over later that evening. They all spoke about how good their marriages was. The only person who didn't speak yet was Ada. All her friends looked at Ada, waiting for her to speak about the good times in her marriage. But it only made Ada more resentful toward her daughter Amara. When Ada's friends left, she began to think about everything they all had to say about their marriages, and she began to compare her marriage to theirs. Amara's father attended the dinner meeting, and they were to sign the contract the very next day. Emika could not focus at the dinner meeting. The business partners could clearly see Emika's thoughts was far from the meeting. After he told them his daughter is in a wheelchair, they kindly signed the contract that evening so he could leave the very next day. Amara was tired and hungry. Her mother Ada had not given her water or bread to eat that whole day. Amara shouted out loud that she was hungry, but her mother ignored her call. Emika booked his flight and could not wait to get back home to Amara. Ada gave Amara bread and then took her in the other room to do her hair. Ada was expecting her husband to be home 4 more days, and she wanted Amara to look presentable. She had no idea he was on the plane. Amara began to cry, and Ada started to mock her own daughter. Ada said, "Foolish spoil girl, you will not keep my husband away from me. Cry he is not here to help you." Amara's father arrived and stared at the house, wondering what he would find. Mika ran through the mansion shouting, "Amara!" She heard her father's voice and she began to shout, "Father, is that you? Father, come help me!" Amara was happy to see her father and confused at the same time. "Father, why did you abandon me? You never called me. Why, Father? Why?" She then began to tell him all the things her mother was doing to her. Then Emika understood why Ada was ignoring his calls. As Emeka was talking to his wife Ada, he refused to even look at her. "My wife, you disgust me." He then repeated everything Amara told him, that she did, and Ada cried and said, "My husband, you spent little time with me. You gave all the attention to Amara. Don't you see me anymore as your wife? You told me you loved me, but you're always with Amara." And I couldn't take it no more. Emeka kept his back towards Ada and said, "Leave me and my daughter's house. You are no longer welcome here. I will return you to your mother's village and send you money. My husband, please forgive me. I was jealous. Go to your mother's village. Amara needs time to heal. I cannot have you around her." Ada would not leave. Emeka had to make a choice between his wife and his daughter. For Amara's sake, he had Ada served with papers to vacate the house. Ada returned to the village and cried to her mother, "My mother, I did a terrible thing to my daughter. I allowed jealousy to enter my heart, but I realized he was trying to encourage her and just show our daughter love. I should have been by my husband's side." As Ada was washing clothes, she began to think more about her actions, hoping that Emeka would allow her to see him and Amara again. 4 years went by and Amara was doing much better. She held no unforgiveness in her heart towards her mother, and she longed to see her. Emeka also missed his wife. He held her picture in his hands and wanted to just hold her. He was planning to bring her back to the house. But there was one thing. Amara would not be leaving for university. She decided to stay home and do online school to become a psychiatrist for other children. Was Ada ready? Could she handle her daughter living home, knowing that she would still need help? Only time would tell.